Hello everyone, this is the Theologate, a missionary experience sharing series of the Divine Word Theologate, a formation house of the Divine Word Missionaries in Chicago, Illinois. My name is Christian Castro, and I will be your host for today. One of the many unique characteristics of us, the Divine Word Missionaries, especially here in North America, is that in each community we have brothers from many different countries and backgrounds. Many of them come here without any family or acquaintances, and members of the religious community have become their family and their friends. Deacon Akizou Kamina, SVD, who is here with us today to share with us his story from the very moment he arrived here in the US in the year 2013 up to this moment. So it is my great pleasure at this moment to introduce to you and welcome our Deacon Akizou. Akizou, it is a great pleasure to have you here. Thank you for taking the time of your busy day to be here with us. So I would like to ask you first of all, can you tell us about your life before your departure from your home country in the year of 2013?
Hello, everyone. And first of all, I would like to thank you, Chris, for hosting me.
Yeah, my pleasure likewise.
Yeah, so I'm so happy to have you as my host. Before 2013, I never dreamt about coming to the United States. That was the list of my dreams.
Oh, really?
Exactly. So I come first of all a little bit about my own family. I come from a very small family. I have three siblings, and we are four. I'm the oldest of my parents. So I grew up in the central part of my country, which is Togo. And that part of the country is majority Muslim, region. So my dad is a last Catholic, so if I put it that way in quotation, and my mom is evangelical. From she belongs to the Church of the Assembly of God. So yeah, even with that, coming from that Christian background, I was baptized in the Catholic Church when I was 3 years old in 1990.
Okay.
So I wasn't really raised as Catholic in my family. And then after the divorce of my parents in 1998, that's when my Catholic journey started. So I started doing religious education. Uh, yeah. Then during that time, I started, having this feeling, right? I wanted to become, because I was an altar servant.
Oh,
So
really?
so I wanted to become also a priest. And I started discerning my vocation. I mentioned it to my pastor at that time, back then, and so he asked me to join the group of the vocational group of my parish. Then from there, I continued my discernment. Uh, I discerned with with Franciscans for about 2 years, and then when I was in college, my second year in college, that was in 2007. That's where I first met the SVDs. So then I entered in contact with the SVDs, and I started journeying with SVDs. So I started philosophy in 2010. But it was very difficult because my parents were not open to my vocation. Because they wanted me to take care of the family business. So that's why they sent me to study accounting in college. So I have a degree in accounting for that purpose. But I said, no, this is that wasn't what I really wanted. So I wanted to become a priest. So, and then after, a lot of discussion, my culture is not like, in this culture where, you make your own decision about your life after 18. But in my culture, you still rely on the blessings of your parents. So without their blessings, I couldn't really step into the seminary. So it took me a while. That's why, from 2007, I was only able to join the seminary in 2010. So then after my degree in philosophy, I came to the United States in 2013.
So let's now focus on your arrival here in the U.S. I guess maybe you can tell us about what was your immediate impression. How long did it took you to get used to this new environment? Can you share us with that?
Oh, that was very interesting because
What
I,
made it interesting?
I first, like walking out of the airport, first I flew from Ghana to London, and from London to Chicago. So in London, when we walk out of out of the airport, and then the cold breeze that really struck me, I was like, man, this is serious here. So I never experienced that cold, even though it was in September. So I had the same experience when I first got to the United States, because it was my first impression, this place is too cold. So I had to start thinking about, how I'm going to overcome that. But getting to Divine Word College, my first week, I would say I'll call it a blessing, because in my life I've been blessed in a way that I adapt to situations, like new situations, easily. So it wasn't too much. It wasn't very difficult, that transition for me, but yet still, I still experience, challenges at the beginning. But trying to learn the language, because I didn't speak English. It's like, so I had to learn English when I first got there. So then it started giving me a little bit of loneliness and missing my country. But yet I try to to overcome those situations. But I will say that it was both a blessing and also a challenge, because I'm not a person who is very attached to a particular place, or particular group, or so it was very easy for me to transition. And the advantage that I had was that I didn't come alone. I came with Adolf, my classmate.
Oh,
So
okay,
we
I
were
see.
two. So at least we were able to share, we were able to talk, and so that was very, very helpful. It would have been different if I had come alone to this country.
So you mentioned something about the challenge of learning the language and everything. Definitely, maybe if we stay in that area, any other experience that you remember in terms of maybe feeling lonely or disappointment when you first arrived? Do you ever wish that you can come back to Togo instead of staying here? How do you overcome those moments? Because I think it's difficult, right?
I would say my the, the thing that impacted me most during my first month in the United States, especially at Divine College, was that I had to deal with a different culture.
Mm.
I come from a social centric culture where for example, you walk by, and sometimes if you don't want to visit someone, then you hide, because
Yeah.
whenever the person sees you, you say, you passed in front of my house and you didn't visit me. So which is not the case in the United States. When I first got here, and then I said, I asked some people who, I think I can stop by and say hello to you and visit. No, 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 you have to schedule an appointment. You have to, we can only see each other, you know, based on an appointment.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was very difficult, because coming from a social-centric culture where, the society, the community is very important, where you get used to each other, you support each other. Of course, at Divine College, that community was very intentional. So, and being created for that purpose, for new students coming in to be integrated to the society. But beyond Divine College was a different context, a different reality. So you couldn't. So for me, it was very difficult in that sense. So I felt at one point like there's such kind of being very uh, and very individualistic society was very very challenging for me, for somebody who was coming from a sociocentric culture. Yet I was able to overcome those situations, even though sometimes I felt like I wanted to go back. I miss my food, I miss my friends with whom I could go out, I could spend time together without having to schedule for an appointment. And so, but what really helped me overcome those situations was the community that existed at my college. So I started creating my own intentional community by reaching out to others. And so that intentionality toward community building really helped me overcome those situations and feel I started feeling at home despite the realities in the American society and American culture.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay, so in this trajectory that we're filing of your vocation and a little bit of your life path too, so we move from Togo, right, to how you came here to the U.S. and now you shared some experiences in Divine Word College, right? So after Divine Word College, then you came here to the Theologate, right? And you start studying theology. And after 2 years, I was informed that you went to Brazil to do your OTP, which is part of formation here for us missionaries. So can you explain to us what that program is and how was your experience in Brazil?
Oh, muito obrigado. Gostei muito da minha experiência no Brasil. Foi uma experiência muito maravilhosa. E gostei muito da comida, do povo brasileiro, que é um povo muito acolhedor. So, just to tell you how much I love the place. Speaking Portuguese really reminds me of the beautiful experience I had in Brazil. So, I got to Brazil in 2017, July of 2017. And believe it or not, I was the first OTP student to get to the ministry site. So to OTP site, so I was the first one to get to my ministry site. So so I got to Brazil. The first 2 or 3 weeks were very very challenging and very difficult because of the language. I had to learn a new language, Portuguese.
So another language.
Another language. And I still remember my the secretary of the provincial. My first days, because I had to go to the province center for my Portuguese classes. I didn't speak any word in Portuguese, so she was trying to give me coffee. If she was asking if I needed some coffee, which is very common in Brazil. People drink coffee a lot. So I didn't understand any word she spoke. I looked at her and I said, no. And then she did everything to explain, even sign movement and sign everything, sign language. I didn't understand. And then she said, how? And I looked at her, I said, do you have Google? And then she said, that's good. And she turned, so she opened her Google, traduction, English, Portuguese. So she wrote in Portuguese, and then I had the translation in English. Okay. And then I responded in English, and she had it in Portuguese. So that's how we started communicating. But the first 2 weeks, I was very, very frustrated because with the language, I said, "Damn God, who even sent me to this place?" And I said, maybe if it doesn't work, I think I bought a round trip ticket. So Chicago, São Paulo, Chicago. Then in October, if it doesn't work, then I go back to Chicago. But I ended up, enjoying learning the language very well. So basically, when I was in Brazil, the program was structured in 2 parts. The first part is the language. You have 6 months of language, and then at least and then after that you have to go to Brasilia, you know, for because the conference of the Bishop Conference of Brazil have they have a center uh, over there for new missionaries arriving to Brazil to do mission in Brazil. So it's a 3-month program where you learn about the language, the history of the church in Brazil, the culture, and then you have this part of integration where you put you into a family, a host family, uh, for a week. So you get to know, you know, the custom and everything. So I was there, and then after that I was assigned to the Amazon,
Oh,
the state of Amazon.
interesting.
So then we took that mission. So the provincial sent me there for my experience, which was a wonderful experience. Basically, I did youth ministry. I was vocation director. Also for the diocese, the bishop appointed me as a vocation director. So I did travel a lot for uh, to speak with the young adults, to motivate them, to make them, you know, become part of the church, to be active within the church, because we believe that the future of the church in the Amazon belongs to these young adults. So how do we invest in them, in their religious education, in their spiritual formation, and also in their human formation? Well, believe it or not, the rate of suicide in the Amazon is very high.
Oh,
So
really?
then I set up this program where I can do like kind of spiritual accompaniment with these young adults. They came to, whenever I was in the city, so they came to talk with me. So I visited them, tried to accompany them, and some parents reach out so that for that help. So I went to also, public schools to talk with the young adults, to motivate them to take care of their education, because the rate of education is very low in the Amazon. Is very low, but they have a lot of opportunities. But they don't have they don't have like dreams, if I would put it that way. So for them, it's just study in your small neighborhood, small area, and then once you are done, you're done. So they don't think about like going for further studies, going to universities outside the university. Even though in the Amazon they have very good universities that are well funded by the Brazilian government. And so I did that work, and ministerial, I would say like uh, mission wide, we had we call mission ribeirinhas. So those like we had to travel by boat to visit community. We had like 62 communities in the
Oh,
jungle.
wow, 62.
So we had different kind of trip. So we have 2-week trip, 10-day trip, 7-day trip, and 3-day trip. So basically, whenever we left the city to the jungle, so for 15 days, for example, no internet, nothing, no electricity. So it was a different kind of life, but I really like it. It was such an experience. Overall, my experience over there was very powerful, and really prepared me about to have a better understanding, right, of my life as a religious missionary, and chiefly as a divine word missionary.
Definitely. So it sounds like the experience in Brazil was full of many challenges,
Yeah.
starting with the language, and but even despite those challenges, you overcome them, and it sounds like it was a very rewarding experience, right? Very briefly, before we move here, perhaps can you tell us about? You talk about, it's very specific about your particular experience, but maybe if we focus more in general about the OTP program, right? And hear information. What do you think are some of the benefits of that aspect of formation here at the house?
I think OTP is, we are so blessed, right? We are so blessed as a SVD to have this wonderful program, and I remember when Hans Kulke, Father Hans Kulke was the superior general. He really encouraged formation houses to have that program, because is not, if even if you are not planning to go back, but it gives you, like in my own experience, I planned to go back to Brazil, but I got a different appointment. But if even if you don't go back, I don't regret that experience, because those experiences are very unique, and is the formation team in the congregation, as as whole, putting it there, they knew it has a purpose. It really definitely has a purpose, because first of all, it gives you a different perspective. It gives you a different perspective. Second, you have a different, you get to be like on the field, if I will put it that way. You are no longer in the class, in the classroom, where they will talk about missiology. You read about constant in context. You read about doing theology in the global church, that, or a prophetic dialogue. Now you get to experience that. You get to to experience first-hand experience for you. So I think definitely the OTP program is a blessing for us.
Definitely. Sounds like there's a lot of benefits, right?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so let's continue in this trajectory, right, that we unpacking here. Okay, so you go to Brazil, you do your OTP now, and now you come back to the Theologate, and you do another year, right? You continue your theology, and now, in your last year, right, after one more year, now you are, like I introduced you, now you are a transitional deacon. And unfortunately, because we are in the middle of a global and national pandemic, can you share with us what are the ministries of a transitional deacon, and how this unfortunate situation has affected you in terms of your ministry as a deacon? Can you share with us, Akizou, that?
Yeah, transitional diaconate is a kind of way toward ordination, basically ordination, like the first stage, right? Uh, in the past, the transitional deacons in this house, they help out at the parish, at various parishes in Chicago area. So basically, it depends on each parish. Some parishes can ask ask the transitional deacon to take care of religious education, RCIA, other programs, formation, retreat, and preparation of the couples for weddings and all those things. So above all, they serve at they help at the liturgy. So helping, assisting the priest during the liturgy. But with this pandemic, is very difficult to do. So I would say that I haven't served at the parish where I was assigned, the Shrine of Our Lady of Pompeii, um, an Italian shrine. Uh, I still, at my ministry side, I still do like online. I'm involved in online ministry, like when they have Station of the Cross online, or right now we are working on we call a Lenten series. So where we have a talk, I do presentation, then we have conversation afterward. So yeah, basically that's what I've been doing at the shrine, because of the pandemic. So I cannot be there, for other kind of ministry, like baptism and funerals and weddings, which are very important for my future ministry as priest.
Definitely
Yeah.
for what is going to be now the next phase on this trajectory, which is the priesthood. So it sounds like, despite the challenges, you were able to overcome them and be very creative and use technology, right, to continue doing ministry. That's very good, Akizou. Keep up the good work. So, I want to go back a little bit about you being a newcomer to this country, which was something we discussed very earlier. So, since you are a deacon, and you share now you will be ordained in about only 2 months, can you share with us what do you think about some of the joys and challenges that you see of the church in the society today?
I would say my first joy is that the church started, the church as, universal church, the Catholic Church, has started, viewing the involvement of lay ministries within the church, valuing that, if I will be very specific. So that's my joy. Even though still a lot to be done, I think that the church is now aware that we need, to value lay ministries. Uh, Having young adults, being involved into ministry, that it gives me a lot of joy to go to a ministry site and see young adults leading liturgy. Seeing women, when I was in the Amazon, for example, in Brazil, seeing women leading the communities, for me it was such a great joy. And challenge, I think we live in a world where everything is being polarized, where religion has become, a kind of weapon, or religion has been weaponized by politicians, has become, a means for oppression, a means for, for indifference.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the challenge.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you make a good distinction. Thank you, distinction. Well, we're getting here close to the end.
Mm-hmm.
The last question I have here for you today is, as you have left your homeland behind to go to a new country to pursue your vocation as a religious missionary, perhaps for our viewers, do you have any tips or advice that you can give those who are thinking about doing the same, but maybe they are hesitate, maybe something of them is like, I want to do it but I don't want to do it. Any tips, any advice, what would you tell, especially for those who will be watching this?
I think the first advice is that don't be attached. Because attachment is not part of our life as a religious missionary. It's very hard if you are attached. Because once you are attached, it's very difficult to leave one place to the other. So in my almost 11 years of formation with the SVDs, I've moved from one place to the other very often. I move also from one room to another room, which is very common. So if you are attached, it's very difficult. Attachment is something that if is something to be really removed from our life as missionaries. And I emphasize again, not being attached doesn't mean that you don't love. You still love people. I still love so much the people I left in the Amazon, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I still love them, and thanks to technology today, you can still talk with them every day. You can still do video call. You can see them. Thanks to technology, I love them so much, but I'm not attached because I have to move forward to different. And
Yeah.
moving forward from here, I have to go to a different ministry. So that's my only advice that I can give. No attachment, and love more. Then you'll be happy with our life as religious.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, we have come to the end. So once again, I want to thank you very much, Akizou, for being here and for sharing with us your story, or at least some part of your story. I'm sure there's a lot more, right? Uh, and I think you have been a great inspiration and encouragement for those who are interested in missionary work and in missionary life. Um, Deacon Akizou Kamina and 5 of his classmates will be ordained priests on Saturday, May 22nd. And the celebration will be live streamed right here in this YouTube channel of the Divine Word Theologate Chicago. And that's why I encourage, and I think it's a very good idea to subscribe and to click the notification bell on our YouTube channel to never miss any of our new updates. And thank you so much for watching and for your support. May God bless you and your loved ones. Stay safe and, very important, stay tuned. Thanks.